Hey guys, here we are behind the ranks, recording today in studio with our in-studio guest, I should say. Victoria's here.
Hey.
And I'm Michelle, and we are here today to have some fun with a very special military kiddo. She's mine. Riley's here today with us to chat, but we wanted to bring her in because April is quickly approaching us. It's like 2 weeks away already. And did you know that April is actually considered month of the military child?
I did.
So each year, April is set aside as a Military Child Appreciation Month. It is officially known as Month of the Military Child. With its start in 1986, the Pentagon and other military support organizations and agencies used this month to recognize the military kids for their sacrifice and bravery on the home front. Sometimes, we often forget about what these military kids actually are going through. But, they're also sacrificing so much for our country as their parents serve. It's actually been deemed that the dandelion is the official flower of the military brat.
I love the dandelion.
I know. And while I don't love to use the term military brat, I actually found out that it means something completely different. So the B in brat stands for braves down roots just about anywhere. The R means resilient and hard to get rid of. The A stands for adapts and survives in various climates and locations. And the T means tenacious little things that always come back.
Perfect. Just leave it to the military to turn anything into an acronym.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, hey, Riley.
Hey.
That's awesome. How old are you, Riley?
I'm 13.
You're 13. About to be 14 soon.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
1 week.
That's amazing.
Less than a week.
And how do you feel, Mom?
Not good.
I know. I
can't believe
it. Like, what happened?
I know. Although I feel like turning 13 was really hard just because it was like that teen. Yeah. But I mean, turning 14, that's exciting. And it's been awesome just to watch her grow into this wonderful young lady.
She's so cool. And she's so pretty.
Thank you.
She looks like her dad so
I
much.
know. She is her father's twin.
Yes.
Like, he is a twin, but I'm like, I think you have a female twin here because she looks so much like him. I can claim her. She does act a lot like me, so.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Oh, so sweet.
She's like my best friend.
Aw, I want that so bad. I tried for a girl. Bit me in the
we
butt.
We thought you had a girl.
I know. I was like, that's sort of backfired. 2020 was not playing games with me.
That's definitely a story we should share another time.
Oh, that would be fun.
When ultrasounds go wrong.
Yes. Yes. I did share, I took a video of my baby shower of you guys and the reaction.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, I posted on YouTube. Maybe I'll have to share that one time. Okay. So we're talking about military brats. And, we decided, man, we really want the perspective of a military brat. It's so weird. Military child. We wanted the perspective, what do they go through? How do they perceive life? I wanted to ask some questions to Riley, and hopefully it could just give us some good insight on how they experience being in the military. What are some of the hardships that they face, or I don't know, some of the cool things that they can take away from the experience and stuff like that. And so I think it would just be really encouraging because I have an 8 and 5-year-old and then my 5-month-old, and it is nice to maybe talk to an older military child who can really explain how they kind of process and feel about certain things. And I can maybe translate that, and maybe get a little more perspective on how my kids are experiencing some things, like deployments and moving and, starting over, or how do they perceive what the military members doing in the Air Force? Does it feel important? Anyway, so we're going to get into that. I'm going to ask some questions, Riley, and it's just going to be fun.
Yeah.
So
Pretend I'm not here.
Right, it's just me and you, Riley. We're talking. Okay, so do you know what kind of work your dad does?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. He maintains people in the planes, people who fix the planes. Yeah.
Fixing planes. Do you know what kind of plane?
Oh, he's moved so many different planes. I can't keep track anymore.
What kind of plane do you remember him working on? That just sounds like fun. I think it's fun. Like, I'm like, do these kids know things about, like, I don't know, you know?
I don't remember anymore. He tries to explain what they all do and why they look different and how you can tell, but I get lost in all of it. I can't remember anymore.
Are they the really fast planes or like the loading planes? You have
I think it's the faster one, I think.
This is so fun. I'm sorry. Okay. You know, because I don't think my kids know the different types of planes, but my husband will like look up, oh, that's a, you know, he can hear the planes going over the house and he's like, that's the B-12. And I'm like, all you're doing is listening and you know what that is. Or he could look out the window and he sees the different light patterns on the aircraft and he's like, that's a such and such. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's definitely the case in our house.
Yeah.
He can tell.
Anyways, yeah, I was just curious. Okay. Well, that's kind of cool. Let's see. So you've been a military child your entire life. You were born into it.
Yes.
Where were you born?
California.
Oh. Where about in California?
Around Anaheim.
Okay. That's cool. And then do you remember where you moved or what's your first memory? Do you have like
definitely like my first memory like being a military child is in South Carolina. We had like a pretty big backyard and big-ish house, so that's where my brother was born. So I remember a lot of times with him in that backyard in that house.
Was it like an on-base house?
No.
Oh, you lived off base.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember living on base at all? Did you guys live on base a lot?
In Eielson we did in Alaska.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good experience. We met a lot of people, and, I mean, we had great friends right across the street from us, and actually a couple parks near our house that we could just walk to, and
nice.
It was definitely great to experience that with some other military kids.
How old about were you?
So we lived in Alaska for 5 years. We moved when I was 5, so.
Okay.
I moved when I was 10, and I had these friends, from, like, pretty much my earliest memories.
That's awesome.
I can remember mostly just Alaska friends is what I remember.
Yeah. Like when you lived on base, do you remember when they would play like the national anthem and stuff?
Oh yeah, that is definitely, that was a big change when we moved here. We lived on base, or off base, sorry. And, I was definitely like, oh wait, you don't do that off base? Like that's just an on base thing? That was definitely a big transition. It was like,
you're like, you mean the national anthem isn't played on loudspeakers like everywhere?
And like other things when I first moved here, I was like, you guys don't understand what that is? Like you guys don't know what it's like?
Yeah.
It was definitely a weird transition.
I'm sure it's 4:30 right now. Oh, we got to stop.
Yeah. So that was definitely.
Yeah, that's interesting. I remember, because I was a military brat myself. And I remember so I guess my mom would always take us to the movie theaters on base. Have you ever been to the movie theaters? And on base, they would always play the national anthem before they played the movie. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? When you go to a movie off base, they don't do that. And I remember being like, Mom, they forgot the national anthem. And I was like mad. Like, Mom, and my mom's like, be quiet, child. Like they also don't talk at movie theaters still, like goodness. So I remember kind of like realizing, oh, wow, like I guess there is a difference between on base and off base. Mm-hmm. And so that's just one of them. Okay. What else was I thinking? Oh, yeah. Okay. So then my next question was like, when did you realize that not every family was in the military? Like,
yeah. I mean, when we moved here and I started going to school off base, I would talk about a lot of things on like the commissary, like the BX on base. And people are like, what is that?
Like you have three heads. I know.
Yeah. They're like, what is that? And I was like, the store? Like, you don't know what that is?
It's where you get food.
Yeah. And they're like, no, we have like Smith's and Albertsons. And I was like, what? Like,
well, what are those places?
Like, I grew up getting, like an icy from the BX. Like, that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we don't know what that is. And so that was weird. And then, like, the national anthem, they're like, you do that every day at 5 and, like, whatever.
Right.
I was like, yeah, like, it's normal. And then, like, just a lot of other things. They were like, did you leave in tents with other people? I was like, that's not what you do. So, yeah, I definitely got a lot of that. Like, you didn't live in a tent with people. I was like, no, we lived in our own houses. Like, it was pretty much just, normal living conditions. But
or I wonder if they think, are your parents super strict?
I didn't really get too much of that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
I wonder if they just make these assumptions without us knowing.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't really get too much of that. I mean, from what I can remember, like, I don't really get questioned anymore because I've been here for 3 years and people kind of know my story, and so they don't really ask anymore.
Yeah.
But the first year we were here, I got a lot of questions like that, like, what's the commissary, and, you played the national anthem. Okay.
That's interesting. Okay, I do want to know, let's see. So can you remember times when like your dad was deployed?
Yeah. I mean, there was, one Christmas that comes to mind is, we went back to Ohio to see family for that Christmas because he wasn't here, and my brother wasn't born yet, so it was just me, my mom, and our, close family members for Christmas. And I mean, I think I mostly remember that just from pictures, but I mean, there are holidays that you remember, and, when we did live in Alaska, he would always, sorry, he would always get deployed for Valentine's Day. So I remember, like, Valentine's Day with my mom and my brother, and then, like, one that specifically comes to mind is my grandma came, and, I remember just, like, this little heart cake we made, and, we FaceTimed him, and we were just like, yeah, like, this is what we're doing for Valentine's Day, and, he was just with other people, like, at work or in his hotel room, so, Valentine's Day was always something I he wasn't there for, so I kind of remember that specifically.
Yeah. I think I can remember a few things. Like my mom would miss like the first day of school. It seemed like I'm like, wow, like maybe that was only like one time, but that was one I could remember. I was like, that was like a big thing. I really wish you were here for that.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. So then, do you remember him missing any other like special occasions other than like Valentine's Day or?
Not really, because like we would call a lot, but
That's
I mean,
good.
I can't really remember anything like
So
that like really mattered like too much that he wasn't there. Like he would always make it up when he came back, or when he was there, he would send stuff,
nice.
or he always came back with gifts, so it always made up for
Yeah.
it.
Right. Well, that's nice, because it makes me wonder, like, when my husband would, like, miss our kids' birthdays and stuff like that, like, do they care? I don't know. Do they mind?
I
like,
mean, definitely care, but like you know that they can't control it. It's not in their power, so you gotta you just have to think of like they don't want to miss it either. So
that's nice. Yeah, and well, that's so sweet. Goodness. So then let's see. If your dad was going to be deployed like later this year, what are some ways that you might prepare yourself for that?
I definitely don't think you can like really prepare yourself for it. I mean, you got to kind of just, it comes with challenges along the way. You can never really prepare yourself. But I think definitely one thing is, do something fun before they leave that you can talk about over the phone while they're gone, or just remember as like not your last memory, but like your last memory with them for a little bit before they come back.
Yeah.
Or like even just like planning things that you're going to do over the phone, like play, video games over the phone, or like, watch a movie over the phone. Like you can plan those kind of things, which, they definitely help.
That does help. I would imagine, like how much, I don't know, because I kind of need a little bit of like mental preparedness for like my husband leaving. So I imagine like the kids, what kind of like mental preparedness stuff do you like to do to get kind of ready for them to be gone? Other than like making those plans and stuff.
Like just kind of like accepting that, they can't control if they leave or not. It's not in their power, and, just knowing that, yes, they're going to miss things, but there's always like, it's not forever. There's always going to be more days. And
do you do anything to like visualize when they're gone? Like you have it on the calendar, like this is when he's supposed to leave and this is when he's supposed to come back.
One thing we used to do is like when it was like close, we used to make like these paper chains where like you just like make them in like little loops and you staple them all together. So then, once a day you rip off the one chain until like it starts getting lower and lower. And then, when there's only a couple left, they're going to be back.
That's exciting, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And it would be like, I bet there's like a buzz and like an excitement around it. Did you do anything else with, or like kind of like preparing for either them leaving or maybe?
I think one thing that me and my brother definitely did when we were younger was we used to make signs and decorations and, hang that up for when he would be back. And
that's nice.
So that was nice to, have that, waiting, knowing that, when they come back, they're going to be excited to see that, or, even just to be back, that you have that joy together.
That's sweet. I know I saw on Pinterest or who knows which wife page or something, like having a jar of all the Hershey's Kisses, like, and they would have a kiss for every night. But my kids, if it was my kids would probably like dig into that, and they would all be gone in like a couple of weeks. I'm like, no, you stole all the kisses way before, Oh, anyway, that would be my kids. They just love the Hershey's Kisses. So I was like, I don't think I could do that as much as I want to. But anyway. Oh, goodness. Let's see. So then what else do you do that helps you with the separation, like while he's gone? Other than you guys, sounds like you use a lot of technology, like talking on the phone or like planning, like to play video games together. Does he like takes his Xbox or PlayStation with him when he play? I don't know how this works.
We haven't like personally done that, but like that could be something that you can do. I think we just used to like call each other, and then like I'd like show him something I did in class, or like, you know, something I learned, and then like that would definitely keep us connected. But
oh, good. And like conversations and stuff like that. That's nice. Would you talk daily if you?
I don't know. It's been a while since he's like left or.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Yeah. So I can't really remember, but I think we would do it like weekly, probably.
Yeah, like a long conversation once a week or so to kind of keep each other caught up.
There was a funny time when my husband was actually in Korea for a year. And
funny time.
Rylie funny story about when he was in there. And I know Rylie doesn't remember, but I just have to share. They were actually playing ball. Like, she'd like throw the ball at the screen, and he'd like pretend to catch it, and like throw.
Oh, that is adorable.
And then like hide and seek. Like, she was only 2, so I know she doesn't remember. But I mean, things like that. You know, you can definitely do things like that to still be interactive. You know, playing hide and seek, throwing a ball, reading a book, and like she did say, it has been a while, but thankfully.
Yeah.
But it is kind of fun to think about how creative you can get while they're deployed or on a remote.
I remember, so like I think for my son, the first deployment that my husband went on, I think he was already like 15 months old or so, you know, so he was, just over a year. And I was like, when my husband deployed, it was kind of like, well, now what do we do, you know? And almost like my son didn't realize that daddy was gone for like a while, and then it was like he just kind of thought he lived in the phone for a little bit, you know? I know. And that was like fine for him. It was so weird to see him kind of be like, hey daddy, like on the phone. And it was actually weirder when it came time for like reintegration, and I was like, wait, you're not on the phone anymore.
You're not a phone, you're a person.
Hold up. Like, this is so weird. I
used to look out the window and just be like, is he ever going to come back home? Like, yes, he's coming home eventually.
That's funny. Goodness.
We have phone parents.
Yeah, I was like, he turned into a phone, and he thought it was like really weird when he was like not on the phone anymore and in person. And I was like, no, that's like daddy. And he's like, I don't, no, he's supposed to fit in your phone.
He's a rectangular shape, not a person.
And I could hang up on him if I didn't want to talk. You know, it was the weirdest thing. I'd be like, all right, kid. Okay, so I guess. Ooh, I wanted to ask, is there a cool experience you've had that, like, is because you're, like, a military child?
I definitely think it's really cool to, like, move and, like, see different places. I mean, we've drove multiple times when we've had to move, and it's definitely, you know, we've been to almost every state in the country, so it's definitely really cool to be able to have that opportunity and look and see everything. But, I mean, it's also amazing to be able to be that close to some of the jets that, you know, when you get to take a tour of, you know, where your dad works, you get to see, my dad does these big jets things. Like, he does this for a living, like, and it's really cool to see.
That is so cool. I know, isn't it, do you ever talk to other kids who are, like, not in the military and they're kind of like, I don't know, you find out that they've never even left the state that they've lived in?
Oh, yeah. Some of my closest friends have never left. I'm like, you know, there's a whole new world out there. Yeah. Like, you just don't know.
So crazy, like, right?
Like, you know, and some of them, like, they only know this one place, and they're just like, I don't really know. Like, I mean, yes, they've traveled to other states, but, like, they don't really know what it's like to live somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there any place that you've lived that, like, definitely stands above the rest? Like, this is so cool, and I love telling people where I lived.
Definitely Alaska. I mean, I get all kinds of questions, but, you know, it's definitely just the most beautiful thing ever. And, you know, it's definitely a great experience. And I'm glad we went when we went, and even though we were younger, I mean, we still had.
Do you remember how old you were?
5 when we first moved.
Yeah. Until you were like how old?
Like 10, I believe. We were there. Yeah.
Okay. That's so cool. What kind of stuff do you remember about Alaska?
I mean, my biggest memory that sticks out was friends. I mean, we had great friends there.
Okay, so the snow wasn't it? I was thinking,
like the 4 feet of snow doesn't stick out in your mind.
Yeah, right. You know, like having to wear snowshoes. I don't know.
Definitely, I mean, snow definitely ties into playing with friends. You know, I think of, you know, the winter days when we got to go outside and, you know, the snowplow just came in and there's a big mountain of snow in your front yard. You know, they just left it there for a couple days, so that's a big thing. I remember climbing up that with friends, and then, you know, we went dog sled riding one time with friends. Like, so that's just a big thing, you know. You remember all the memories you have with people.
Yeah.
Moose encounters.
I was gonna say, I was like, what kind of wildlife did you see?
Oh yeah, there was definitely multiple times when we couldn't go outside for recess because there was a moose on our playground. I mean,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry, a moose is here. No, definitely don't go out there with a moose.
I mean, there was one time he was right outside our classroom window, and we just had like a couple of the other classes come in. They're just like taking turns looking out the window.
That's
like,
crazy.
You know, it's just something that, like, if I would tell somebody did it, they'd be like, what? Like, that's not normal. You don't understand how you, like, just think that's normal. I'm like, I mean, it's my,
Yeah,
it was like my.
It's just a moose right outside the window.
You know, that's just my child. I mean, there's one time that, you know, sticks out to me with the mooses. We were walking to school, and there's, like, this back path behind our house to school. And my brother had stopped to tie his shoe, and my mom was helping him. And I look, and I was like, what is that? And it was literally a moose coming out of the woods. And I was like, Mom, like, turn around. And so we had to go, you know, the long way to school.
It's a detour that day.
Yeah.
Like,
sorry I'm late. I had to take the long way because there was a moose on my path.
Yeah, there's definitely times we'd bike or walk to school, and, you know, you'd be like, oh, wait, gotta go the long way.
That's insane. I don't know. Because, like,
it's definitely, you know, people don't understand it, but to me, it's like my childhood. You know, I'm so used to it.
that is so cool.
Playing in igloos and
Yeah, that was a yearly
fishing.
tradition.
Yeah.
That is so
Ice
cool.
fishing.
So, like,
salmon fishing.
When you guys had to move here to Vegas, right? Because you came from Alaska to Vegas.
Yeah.
So what were some of your thoughts about that?
My first year, I couldn't stand it here. But I think it was mostly because we didn't have too many connections with people. I think definitely one thing that I would say is when you move, it's the people, it's not the place.
Yeah.
You definitely, you know, want to stay somewhere, or you are happy somewhere because of the people.
Yeah.
But when I first moved here, I was like, what is this heat? Like, this is not normal.
Oh my God.
It was
right.
It was a
You guys moved in the summer?
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
We got here in like early August.
Ugh.
So that was a fun transition. But
yeah.
And then, you know, it was very different coming from a small town to a big city. And I was like, what's Target? What's Chick-fil-A? Like, I had no clue.
No way.
Like,
stop it. No, my gosh, that's crazy.
It's so weird.
Wow.
I mean, I don't think.
A mall? What's a mall, right? You know? I guess I don't realize.
Like, I was used to, like, a couple only restaurants were, like, a McDonald's, a Wendy's, and, like, a Subway. Like, there wasn't too much. And, like, there were small, like, local native restaurants, but, like, none of your chain restaurants.
You had to, like, really figure it out.
Yeah. It was
your mom's like, all right, I'm going to show you the ways.
Well, and it was definitely weird because I went to a school in Summerlin, and, you know, it's, like, the city area. So it was, like, seeing all these people, like, these parents coming to pick their kids up in, like, full-on work suits, where I'm used to people coming to pick up their kids in a snowsuit. Like, it was really strange. And, like, a lot of people, like, they just had a different lifestyle that I had to adjust to. Like, I was so used to, like, just playing outside, playing in the dirt. And then these kids were talking about video games and playing on their phones and, you know, social media. And I was like, what? Like, I'm so used.
You have a phone?
I was just so used to being outside 24/7. Like, I practically lived outside in my old house. But
wow, that's nice.
It was really weird. Totally different people in totally different states.
Well, I could tell you, like, moving here from Georgia, my eyes had to, like, adjust to the amount of brown that's here in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
I remember telling and it didn't help that we moved, like, right around the winter time. So here in winter around Vegas, like, things are really gray and brown, right? I don't know why. Mm-hmm. And so, like, my eyes were, like, it was even, like, more gray and brown. And then it took me a while to start seeing, oh, like, that brown's actually a little more orange. That brown's a little more red. That brown's a little more yellow or whatever. Yeah. That's brown.
Like,
it was so weird. Did you experience that too, or is that just me?
Well, okay, so definitely, like, the grass is, you know, greener and, you know, things like that. Like, there's definitely more greenery in Alaska and more, like, desert here. But I also noticed, like, a change in, like, the building colors. Like, here it's all, like, browns and reds, whereas in Alaska they were, like, green and, like, light yellow, like, kind of like, you know. So it was really strange to see, like, how different colors. Like, you would have never thought that different states would have different color, like, buildings.
Yeah. Or it's like you kind of pick up on those kind of differences, and I don't know. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's strange how, you know, different states can be so different, but, like, it's like the odd things that, like, you wouldn't really think of.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember, like, we as a military brat myself, we lived in England for, like, a while. Like, I pretty much had my childhood in England. You know, some of my memories of England were that playground was ginormous. You know, like, those are the things as, like, a kid. Like, that's what I remembered. I remember that playground. I remember we would always get ice cream at that Baskin Robbins. Mm-hmm. And when we had to move to California, I was, like, mad about, no, like, they're probably not even going to have my favorite ice cream, you know, and all these things. I remember being really upset about the change, you know. Oh, gosh, like, do we really have to move? Like, I really like it here, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy transition. I mean, you definitely go through, like, the why am I here? Why do I have to leave? Like, I was so happy there, but I think it's ultimately just, you know, a blessing in disguise sometimes. You know, you definitely meet new people and have new experiences.
Yeah. So obviously that doesn't happen like right away. What sort of things are helpful so that you can maybe like get transitioned to like a new place quicker? Like,
I would definitely be open to change. I think when I first moved here, I had my heart set on going back. I think as a family, we were all like,
want to go back to Alaska?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a family, we're all like, okay, we're definitely like not retiring here. Like, we're definitely as soon as possible going back up there.
Yeah.
And so, and like, you know, even became an option a couple of years ago, I believe. And we're just like, no, I mean, like, we were just, I don't know. But like, we always just had our heart set on going back. But I think you should definitely always be open. You know, don't judge it before you really give it a shot. And, you know, definitely like find people who have a common interest with you. That helps a lot when trying to meet new people and meet new, you know, have connections, because that's definitely what makes it a great place to live.
Yeah. So like going to school, did that help you like meet new people and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Or?
I mean, I definitely met people through school, but I mean, our first neighborhood we lived in here didn't have too many kids our age. So once we moved, you know, recently, we met a lot of new people. And so that definitely helps too, is, you know, you just got to kind of, you know, find people who are like your age or, you know, like things like you do. And that definitely helps you, you know, the transition be easier and more enjoyable to be in this new place.
Yeah. What other cool experiences do you think you've had as like a military child that like other people who aren't a military family would?
Definitely like, you know, just the planes, the jets, you know, you definitely get to see, you know, a whole new world when you get to go on a military base. And I think you also learn a lot of like life lessons. You know, you see how the, you know, military people, they work together, and like, you know, it really is just one big team. You know, you can't just have one person working on one jet. Like, you have to have them all to work together. So I think that can be a really good life lesson, is that you know, you got to work together, and, you know, the team is really something that, you know, it's what gets you through.
That is so cool. Oh, that's so nice that you like picked up on that. That is so sweet. Oh man, I know. I remember a lot of like my mom's squadron in England, for example. They would do, Halloween was really big for some reason. I don't know why, but like her squadron would do like a giant haunted house. And so like everybody would pitch in and like, you know, put together this giant haunted house and have everybody from the base come through this haunted house. And like my mom and I, we got to be like in the haunted, and my brother too, my older brother, he got to dress up as like this butcher thing and was like scaring people, you know. It was like intense, and I got to be a witch with my mom, and it was like really creepy and cool. But I just think, you know, how often do people come together as a community like that and build something and do something together, you know, a little bit like how we built, you know, a Halloween haunted house.
Yeah, I think we definitely saw Halloween being a big thing in Isleston too. I think it's just like, you know, there was always a big haunted house in the, you know, the nursing office and like the hospital area. Whoa. There was, it was pretty cool. They had like a candy cane land and then like a scary one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I definitely like, it's really cool to see all like the, you know, everybody come together. Like, even though, you know, some of the base housing is separated by rank and squadron and that kind of thing, but it's definitely cool to see everybody walking around together and know that you're all in this, like, you're all in the same boat. Yeah. You all go through the same thing. So I think Halloween is, for some reason, you know, it's pretty big. And I don't know. It's definitely interesting to see everybody together and know that you guys are all in the same thing together.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I just love that I don't know, I guess I sort of take it for granted that we have easy access to, like, these planes. Mm-hmm. And I'm almost like, oh yeah, that's the plane, you know. But people who like aren't in the military are like, oh my gosh, I've never been so close to these aircraft, you know. And this is just Air Force families we're talking about, right? I don't know what other military branches experience, but for us, like the Air Force, like we get to experience these aircraft like on a daily basis, and it's almost like that's just the C-5 flying over, no big deal, you know. Whereas somebody else is like, oh my goodness, that's crazy, you know. And they have to wait for like the air shows and stuff like that to even like get a glimpse of these things, and that's like, this is my life. And I take it for granted, maybe, that, like, that's crazy.
It's really cool living on base and being able to see, like, I really like seeing them, like, all come together and do, like, a little mini show, but, like, practice kind of thing when you, like, you see, like, 5 flying at one time together. Yeah. I definitely love seeing them, you know, doing that. That was really cool to see.
That is so cool. Goodness. Okay. So I guess we touched on this already, but I do have a question. Like, do you have any other favorite memories of being like a military child?
Definitely like the Thunderbird shows are definitely some of my favorite. I don't like. It's cool to see my dad because he definitely has, he likes to watch those, and
Yeah.
he definitely feels connected to them in a way. So seeing the shows with my dad, just that really brings something special.
That's nice.
But I mean, also like just being able to walk to some of the things on the base is also really fun. Like everything, you couldn't need, and especially in a smaller base. And like in Eielson, it was really small. So like we could just walk to the grocery store.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to do that with friends, and like those kind of things are just, they make great memories.
That's nice. Like you and a group of friends would just go and
Yeah,
get some Skittles or something.
Yeah, like we'd go to.
Mom, I need money for some Skittles.
We'd go get ices or something
yeah.
at the shop, and then.
That is
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, and I remember also feeling like a huge sense of security when I lived on base and stuff like that, or or just security like all around. Do you kind of feel that also?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been a while since I've lived on a military base, but that's why I keep going back to Eielson. But that's it was definitely nice because like my mom could let us go outside to the park without having to worry. Like now, like if we try to go to the park off base, she's like, okay, text me when you get there. Like make sure you're in a big group. So it's definitely, it's nice to be on a base and know that you're protected and that you're safe.
Yeah. I agree. I know because like we moved off base recently, but I do miss like just letting my kids. They're like, I want to go to the park. I'm like, okay, bye. And I'm like, and I would know like all the neighbors, and all the neighbors can text me at any moment's notice, like, oh, Tucker's in my backyard now, so he's not at the park anymore. I'm like, oh, well, thank you for the heads up. Simple things like that, and I just think it's just so nice to have that sense of community, but how to bring it. Also, like if you're not on base and. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. Okay, so when you move away from friends, how do you keep in touch?
Definitely like when you still text a lot, or you can send you can play video games or like send little games over text. Continuing to FaceTime or just call in general, that really helps. Or I mean, one thing that we did when we first moved here was we used to send like little goodie boxes, like just of like little things that we could. Found at like our local store, or so just sending like little boxes like that, they really, or especially letters just made it really personal.
Yeah,
it's something we definitely did when we first moved here.
That's really sweet. So do you have any friends that you do still keep in touch with? A few friends from Alaska? Okay. And how many friends do you keep in touch with?
I wouldn't say like at most like regularly, but probably definitely neighbors that we used to live across the street from, and then some really close family friends. We still vacation with them sometimes, and call and message.
That's awesome. I guess what would be some advice for those like other military kids who are like experiencing, they know they're gonna be leaving soon, they have to move, but like they're what kind of advice do you give them to like make sure that they keep those connections?
Definitely like what I said, when your parent leaves for deployment or something, do like one last big thing, or a couple big things just to remember, like go on a vacation or like something like that, like just one big last memory that you can really hold on to. But definitely make like a pact, like say that you are you're going to stay in touch, and you're going to text, and you're going to call, and like that kind of thing. Just make sure that you really
make the time.
Yeah, definitely.
You really do have to make the time to reach out, because I imagine, like when you make new friends and stuff, sometimes it's hard because you have to work on those new connections, but you still want those old connections to be strong. Yeah. So it's like you do have to find balance, but I'm sure people do it. But I just, as a child, and you're not really like a child, as a 13-year-old, how do you find balance between like, oh, I'm making my new friends and I saw my old friends and we're staying connected?
I found it really easy, like, to spend, like, during, like, the daytime when, like, you can, go out with friends, like, your local friends, do that. But then, like, more, like, nighttime or, like, early in the morning, message those people who, like, live farther away or they don't see as much. Or, you can take, like, a scheduled day to just spend time or call that one person. But
That's nice. Aw, you're so sweet. Goodness. And I guess have you found it like really difficult to make new friends?
Not really. I think that definitely like your first, little bit, it might be hard because you still, you miss those people and you miss that place and you might still want to go back to that where you were beforehand. But I definitely think you just got to stay open and you got to, you got to put the effort in. Things aren't just going to come to you. You got to make the effort to go out and, make friends.
Yeah.
Because ultimately it's going to be so much better if you make friends, even though you may be scared to move again and,
like
leave
these new friends.
You might have to, leave those friends and try all over again. But I mean, as long as you make the commitment and like you really try, I mean, friendship can be forever. You got to try.
Yeah.
And put the effort in and, want it to really happen.
That's so sweet. And I'm sure it helps a lot. Like, how do you meet new friends? Does it help a lot when, your family's like really active either in church or in school or something like that?
Definitely. I mean, that's how we met some of our closest friends is, just being, our family is just completely being, active in, different things like sports and school and definitely church. You make so many connections between those things. And I mean, it really helps if you really want it to happen. Like you can't just, not really care and expect it to just happen.
Aw, that's so sweet. Goodness. Well, what other things come to mind when you're like, I don't know, what do you want people to know about, like, what it's like to be a military child?
I mean, I think that people, when they think of, like, military, they think of, like, the person, like, active duty who, struggle sometimes with, leaving or, having to go fight or whatever. But it definitely impacts everybody around them and their family especially. So I think that, people just need to realize that, it's not easy. It definitely takes some strength to be able to let your parent go for, even if it's just, a couple weeks. But it definitely is hard.
Yeah. What about, like, in school and stuff like that? Do, like, teachers kind of do anything? Do you kind of let your teachers know if, like, you're...
I mean, sometimes you miss a day to, say goodbye and, have them when they leave. But, I mean, I don't think I would go out and, the extra effort to, like, make sure my teachers know. I just, I might act different, but, like, if they ask, I'm like, yeah, my dad just left, so, a little different, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you just gotta work through it, I guess.
Aw, that's so nice. Okay, I don't know if I have any other questions. You're so cute, and I don't know.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed like your perspective on being like a military child and stuff, and it does make me interested in like maybe asking my son a couple of questions on like how he perceived things happening, or like does he remember like daddy being gone a lot, or things like that, or I don't know, does he even understand what daddy does? Sometimes like my little one or my middle child now will be like, I want to be a soldier when I grow up. And I was like, do you even know what that means? Yeah. Like, and I don't know. And sometimes we get to go and visit like where daddy works and stuff. And I think that's a cool experience for anybody, like even if your dad worked at the Jelly Belly factory, like it'd be so cool to visit what the Jelly Belly factory like did and stuff. So I imagine, I don't know. I don't know. I'm thankful for this life and
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I have a question for Rylie.
Okay.
Rylie, would you ever think of, or have you ever thought about being in the military, or how do you think you would feel if your child would want to be in the military?
I mean, I personally haven't really considered it too much. I mean, I've always thought, it would be definitely a cool thing to, continue like with my dad's thing and like do that as well. But I mean, I've never personally thought about it. It's never really like.
Have you thought about what you do want to do when you grow up?
Yeah, I actually want to become a NFL fitness coach and coordinator.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So specific.
For which team?
Oh, I imagine.
Kansas City.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go Chiefs. Oh, that's so nice.
And my son's going to play for him, so, just...
Right, we're just a Chiefs family.
The dreams of the family, they're running strong for those Chiefs.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. She's like, I'm going to make sure the players are healthy and can win the Super Bowl next year, or the year, whatever, Yeah. Aw, dang.
Well, do you ever wish that things were different for you, Rylie?
Definitely not. I mean, this life is definitely a blessing, and, I mean, there's been times where I'm like, well, why do I have to move so much? Like, I just wish, I could stay in one place. But, I quickly changed that mindset and realized, no, I'm super lucky to be able to see all these places and meet all these people.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I think we like to say like, like we don't, like when we leave people or they leave us, it's like we're gaining vacation spots rather than, like we like to think of it that way. It's like, okay, you're going to move where? Okay, that's my new vacation spot then,
Yeah. That's stuff like when we left, we're definitely like, okay, now Alaska's our, vacation spot that we can go to and enjoy. Like, not have to worry about, like actually living there, but now we can go to these places that we didn't get a chance to and actually, vacation in.
Yeah.
It's so cool to be able to say, like, I have a friend in, like, every state and, a couple dozen countries or something.
Right.
Like, that's definitely unique. And, I do hope that that's something that all military kids come to appreciate and understand.
Yeah. And I think it's cool that we have these resources nowadays where you guys can keep in touch. Like me as a military child, I had friendships that I don't know how to find these people, like we grew up and now I don't know. I mean, well, some of them I got lucky. Like I pretty much stayed in one place after 3rd grade, but the ones before the 3rd grade, I was like, I don't know how to find them and what they're doing. Some of them, I don't know. Anyway, so it's so cool that there's these resources and you can keep in touch. And I don't know. I hope that my kids even do that. And then my kids, we had friendships when they were like babies. I was like, they were at your first birthday and stuff. And, I have these friendships with these moms and I'm watching like their kids grow up the same as like mine. And I don't know, I do want to get reconnected one day and hopefully we'll be.
Yeah, we definitely have those connections and those friendships.
Yeah. I'd be like, look, I can show you pictures, like, oh, you used to play with them. You guys were in diapers together, and my son would probably be like, okay, that's weird. But anyway, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, Month of the Military Child. This is so cool. Yeah. I don't know. Do you have anything else?
Not really.
I know. Sometimes when we do these podcasts, I have all these afterthoughts like, oh, that would have been fun to say or that would. But, right now, nothing really comes to mind. I think we covered a lot of ground on like what it's like to be a military child. I hope we covered enough, but I mean, if there's more you maybe want to know or you want to hear about, definitely comment or share your thoughts or anything. So
awesome. So thank you, Rylie, for being our special guest today. And thank you to Victoria for being willing to pull the weight on this interview. Just keep in mind that the service member has a really great team behind them. Remember those military kids when April swings around and all those that are, serving behind the ranks.